Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Crypto Philanthropy, where we highlight the top giving news and showcase the power of crypto for good. I'm your host, Nick Mikhalevsky, Senior Sales Manager here at The Giving Block. Let's dive into everything making headlines in crypto giving this week. So, hey, everybody, I am flying solo today. Pietro is out, but we've got a lot of things to cover. So, without further ado, I think we'll just jump right on in. As usual, for some of the topics today, we'll do a quick look at prices, take a look at the weekly donation stats of the last 7 days. Um, and then I really wanted to take a second to spotlight the Giving Block's knowledge base, which also includes our year-end fundraising toolkit. So if you're a client of the Giving Block, not only do you get a product, but you get a fundraising program to follow. It's really like the crown jewel of our services. So give you guys a sneak peek at what that looks like, and we'll round things out with a crypto news update. Moving on, we still are doing our $500 in Bitcoin when you get started with the Giving Block. So, again, if you're crypto curious after this episode, scan that QR code, reach out to us. We'd love to get you on the platform. And let's just take a look at what is happening on the prices side of things. So, seeing a little bit more red in the markets this month, but when it comes to Bitcoin, and again, we're not really doing a lot of price analysis here. That's not really the main focus of the program, but always like to anchor people's perceptions of where the market is from a high level perspective. But when it comes to Bitcoin, one of the things that tends to happen in September is that in the traditional financial world, you sometimes have a lot of funds that are typically booking profits for the year. Something that plays out or has played out in past years seems like things are following a similar trajectory. Obviously, macro factors are always different year over year. We're seeing a little bit of consolidation. We've got, this month's FOMC with rates, interest rates potentially being cut. We'll see what happens and how that impacts the markets. But taking a look, Bitcoin just under 60K there, Ethereum just under 2,500, and you can see some of the assets down the list. But again, seeing a little bit of a pullback in the markets. Certainly expect that that may be something that turns around as we get deeper into the final months of the year. So we'll see how everything shakes out. So moving on, the donation highlights for the last 7 days were pretty interesting. Wanted to highlight a few of the stats that caught our eye. So, everybody can kind of, quickly read these on the screen, but what was really interesting was we continue to see a healthy number of organizations getting support from crypto philanthropists. You can see a number of organizations, over 230 charities, seeing donations from donors. So that's great. So if you're out there thinking, I don't know if I have any crypto in my donor base, it's quite a lot of donors. And again, this is just from the last 7 days alone. We just kind of took a straight average, and of the gifts that were made in the past 7 days, looking at that average, turned out to be a little bit over $1,000 per gift. So a nice, healthy size of those donations. So again, a little bit of indicative of at least where these donors are coming in from a gift size perspective. And probably one of the cooler stats when we started to take a little bit of a deeper look at the data itself, the bottom figure there, the return on investment for organizations who had received donations in the past week and who began crypto fundraising within just the last year, a whopping 1,630% return on investment when they joined the Giving Block. So really cool to see, and wanted to bring this up just because for those organizations that are curious about, should we get into this? We looked at this in the past. What's the market's been like? The organizations that have jumped back in this year and have just gotten started are seeing some really great transformational gifts come through, and they've set themselves up really well, not only for the rest of this year, but in the prevailing years. So if anybody again is curious on learning more about the Giving Blocks program, is it going to be a good value for money? Here are some examples of some organizations that are seeing some really great performance right out of the gate. And moving on, to that area around the program and how this all works. There's a lot of things that we do at the Giving Block, but one of the staples is our knowledge base. And we'll go through a few slides here, just some screenshots. But when you come aboard as a client of the Giving Block, you get access to all kinds of great tools. But the knowledge base is really, like I said, the crown jewel there. And what this first slide is showing is kind of where you land first. And as you can see across that yellow banner there at the top, you've got some, crypto fundamentals, some fundraising education, templates, webinars, events, information around integrations if you want to pull all this donor data straight into your CRM, and of course our support as well. So it's a great resource to just kind of get grounded. You'll also see some, obviously, a nice little search bar there if you're looking for a specific topic. But then we make sure that everybody is able to participate in those fundraising kickoff sessions. We do all client meetings where we go through strategies and trends and things we're seeing. Here's great ways that you could replicate success, and here's some good case studies of clients that have been doing really well. And then, of course, some practical sessions as well. As you can see, there's social media magic, transforming your crypto fundraising. So there's a lot of great resources that are packed into this knowledge base. And if we go on to the next screen, it even kind of carries over into very specific, like checklist, like activation steps. So we leave no stone unturned. So what you're seeing here on the screen is your fundraising success kickoff, right? You're just getting started in the Giving Block. What are the things that you should be doing to make this a really great value for money and make the subscription really worth your while. And then of course on the right you see some very specific articles that go into embedding your donation form the right way, Apple Pay FAQs, how to SEO your crypto giving page. I mean, again, we go into everything so that if you're new to this, we're not just handing over a product and you're trying to figure out, okay, how do I best fit this into my fundraising program? We literally map out every kind of step along the way or provide some helpful guidance depending on what your fundraising program looks like, what your donor makeup is, whatever it might be. Our client success team has done a fantastic job packaging everything that's contained in the knowledge base and making it really easy to navigate, really easy to use. And you've got a ton of great content that's right at your fingertips. If we go on to the next slide here, especially as we get into the year-end giving season, and I'm sure, if you're out there, primed and ready for, the big months of the year where for many of our organizations, a good sizable portion of those fundraising dollars start to come in. We've put together some fundraising toolkits for the end of year specifically, and they're broken out into different levels of bandwidth that you might have. So as you can see, we've got sort of a minimal to, a real power user, someone that wants to do a lot of things. And as you can see, it's sort of broken out into getting you ready for year end, how to, sort of tee up email fundraising, how to boost social media fundraising, what to do for in-person, direct mail. We kind of go through everything, as well as some key dates around the giving season. So if we go deeper into the next slide, we really kind of go through everything that you should be thinking about in all of those major groupings. So this is a snippet from the power user section where we're not only making sure you've got everything ready, you've got the email side teed up, you've got the social media side teed up, but here are some in-person fundraising assets, templates, maybe what you could do for direct mail. Literally everything is in there. So it's a great way that as you're getting started, or if you're new to the program, or even if you're just, a longstanding client, our client success team has put in a lot of great strategies, best practices, templates. You can use these whole cloth. You can make these branded to your organization, use these as inspiration. So the knowledge base in these year-end fundraising toolkits are just absolutely packed with great strategies to make the best of the year-end giving season, where we're all working so hard to to connect with donors and to make those big year-end appeals. So again, if you're curious, we'd love to have you on the platform. There's a lot of great fundraising content that is waiting for you to use. And with that, we'll wrap things up with one quick crypto news update. So we've been talking a lot this year about how the traditional space and the crypto space have been continuing to blend and get more integrated month over month, with just crypto adoption continuing to permeate sort of regular everyday society. And you'll probably start to see things in a more visual way at more and more merchants across the country. So I'm sure when you walk into a merchant, and either on the front window or at the point of sale or on the counter, you're used to seeing the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, accepted here. Now you're starting to see merchants add the USDC, which is the crypto stablecoin from Circle, and they've partnered with Coinbase to make this as easy as possible for merchants to accept crypto payments. So again, it's really cool. Keep an eye out for it. I think it's something you're going to start to see on more and more businesses as you go around the neighborhood. But really something that, well, we just want to highlight. Continues on with what we expect to see this year as crypto adoptions continues to accelerate. So with that, um, we're getting ready for year end. As I said, the team is really getting ready to kick into high gear. So if you are curious, if you really want to make this year's given season stand out, end with a bang, whatever it might be, we've got that great promo. If you want to get started with us, we have a revamped knowledge base and year-end fundraising toolkits that are awesome. We'd love to talk to you about how we might be able to help drive some more impact your way. So thanks everybody for listening to this week's episode. We'll see you next week.